Hello, welcome to our Study Abroad information session. My name is Ann Berger. I'm Associate Director for Study Abroad and Exchange Programs in the International Office.
And my name is Kayla Van Diest. I am a study abroad advisor here at Wichita State.
My name is Raul Rangel, and I am a study abroad student assistant here at Wichita State, and I also had the opportunity to study abroad.
All right, well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And we're going to go through our presentation with you. Each of us will speak and kind of share information with you. So we'll go ahead and get started. First slide, I always like to just share why students might want to study abroad. So there's really a lot of different reasons. There's a few up on this slide that have to do more with kind of the cultural, personal reasons. In particular, I always love to point out the one with develop confidence and independence. That's one I do hear a lot from other students, that doing a study abroad can really help in those two areas. Which ultimately can then help you, obviously, when you come back, when you're applying for jobs, in classes, just in so many aspects of your life. And then, of course, there's lots of things that I know students love to do while they're studying abroad, with being able to visit different places. So it might be your first time outside the US, and you can visit in oftentimes maybe more than one country during your study abroad, making friends from all around the world. So no matter where you're studying abroad, a lot of times you have the opportunity to meet students from a lot of different places, other cultures. There's just a lot of different reasons. And then this next slide kind of really emphasizes more of some of the practical reasons. So oftentimes students may want to choose to do a study abroad because they're studying another language. And there's really no better way to immerse yourself in a language and culture than to be there in that country. So it's a great way if you are studying another language, or maybe just interested in doing that. If you're getting a minor, a major, like in Spanish or Japanese, are a couple excellent examples of students that we've had over the years that have studied abroad for that purpose. But also know that if you're not studying another language, or you're not interested in that, there are definitely a lot of options where you can take classes just taught in English. You definitely do not need to know another language to study abroad, and we'll talk about that through our presentation with you. So also, obviously, you can earn credit towards your degree. There's a lot of options there. And then I think some of the key points come more from the professional standpoint. So it could be a great way to build some of those professional connections, maybe even inspire a career if you're not 100% sure which direction you want to go into. I've had students that have told me that before, that it kind of helped them a little bit with the study abroad process. And then the last two, I think, are really key, and that we always tell students that to make the most out of your study abroad experience while you're there, and also when you return. So it's a great way to be able to develop a global resume, which what we mean by that is that it can be a great tool to put onto your resume itself, that you did a study abroad program, you have an international experience, just can make yourself more marketable when you are out there applying for jobs. We always recommend that you mention it during job interviews, put it on a resume, even mention it when you're in career fairs. I've had many times students that have told me, how much that could help them to get an interview, or help you during the interview. It definitely makes yourself just kind of set yourself apart from other students who are out there that did not have any type of study abroad or international experience. So it's lots of great reasons. The list can go on, but these are just a few that we do like to point out with students. So now, just to kind of get into a little bit of when it's best to study abroad, generally we recommend students to look at sophomore to junior year. During your freshman year, generally you'll be taking classes at WSU, although there are some options if you wanted to consider like a winter break program. Definitely the summer after your freshman year is an option. But generally most students will go kind of between sophomore to junior year, and that's based on how many credit hours you have, more so than the actual year that you are at Wichita State. So sophomore, you have 30 credit hours completed. And so that would be kind of the minimum for most of our programs. And then generally, we try to avoid students studying in their senior year or what would be their actual last year at Wichita State, depending on how many years you have to complete your degree, as that can vary for some students, depending on how many credits you may have already brought in. Or what your degree is. If you have multiple majors or minors, you might be looking at 5 years for your degree plan. So we're just referring to that last year, ideally to not try to do a study abroad program because that can be a bit more difficult. So we want to kind of get you to doing a study abroad right in the middle of your degree program here at WSU. 2.5 GPA is the minimum for most of our programs. There are some programs that have a little bit higher, and that's something that we try to put on our website or we'll let you know, but 2.5 is generally going to be the minimum for the majority of them. So there are a lot of different options all over the world of where you can choose to study abroad. So depending on if you have a specific country that you might be interested in, based on a language or just some other interest, we can always kind of help you look for those options. This slide just shows a wide variety of different places, photos that we got from students who've recently studied, abroad and things, and just shows you different places that a lot of WSU students tend to go to every year due to some of our partnerships that we have and different programs that we work with. Again, these are not all of the places. There's certainly plenty more options. And if you have a certain place in mind that you really want to study abroad, then we encourage you, to reach out to us. And that's something we can talk about during your advising appointment to see, what options there might be, because that's something that we will, help you with as well. And so another thing to be kind of thinking about would be how long you want to go for your program. And that's something, that's good if you're thinking about it now and before you might come in for an advising appointment, but we can also help you with that as well, depending on, what your degree is, how far along you are. So there's basically 4 different options of how we kind of break it down into the length. One would be to go for a full semester, which generally will be 4 to 5 months, depending on the university where you go. Or you could go for the full academic year, both fall and spring semester. And then we have shorter options, both in the summer and the winter. And both of those generally will range from 1 week for summer, 1 week to 3 months. And for the winter break or J term, then those will range from 1 to 3 weeks. So I want to talk about each of these a little bit more detail just to give you an idea of what these options might look like depending on what you might be considering. So for our semester and academic year programs, we basically have 3 different categories that students can choose from of what you might look at doing if you want to do a semester or academic year. So the first one's exchange programs. The second one is the Maui Consortium, which is our Mid-America Universities International Consortium, and then also independent program providers. I'll go into detail on each of these on these following slides. So with the WSU exchange programs, we have specific partner universities, and you can see where they're located. These are ones where students do get to pay, as the previous slide said, you do get to pay your WSU tuition and fee rate. And so you do remain enrolled at WSU, pay your regular tuition and fees. And most of these programs, their housing fees will not be any more expensive than if you were living here on the WSU campus. So very affordable options if you want to do a semester or an academic year. You see the deadlines below at the bottom of this slide. So February 15th is if you want to do a fall or academic year, and the September 15th for spring. But these are all really good options depending on what you're studying. That's something that we can look at for you to see if there are any based on what your major, your minor might be, your other interests in language, in order to know if one of these would be a good option for you to potentially choose. And then we have the Mid-America Universities International or Maui Consortium that consists of over 25 universities in Europe. It's another, great option for semester long or the academic year. You also get to pay your WSU tuition and fees for that program. And again, housing costs are very affordable for the majority of these universities. In most cases, not any more expensive than students who would be living on the WSU campus or even an off-campus apartment. This program, we do encourage you to come up with at least 2 options, and that's just the way that we have to have you apply through that consortium, that you're not just choosing one. With the exchange partner universities, it's usually fine if you just want to list one option, but with this one, we do prefer that you have at least 2 choices, and in some cases, maybe even 3, depending on what your choices are, but that's something that we can discuss with you during a study abroad advising appointment. You'll see the deadline is usually February 15th for both fall and spring, although sometimes we do have a later deadline for the spring in order to allow students to apply beyond that date. But if you want to get top preference for any choices that you want, then it's best to apply and get everything in by February 15th, regardless of whether you want to go in a fall or spring semester. And then our independent program providers, we work with a lot of different providers that offer study abroad programs in locations all around the world. So these are really good options if, we don't have anything available through our exchange partners or that Maui consortium, and you are still wanting to do a semester or academic year, then we can certainly look at these programs and see what might work for you. They do tend to be more expensive if you're paying, an in-state tuition rate at WSU and you want to go for a semester or a year. But we do use them a lot for the summer and winter programs, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But just know that they do offer a lot more locations if there are places that you might be interested in going, but we don't have a program set up through an exchange partner or through that Maui consortium. So aside from the academic year and semester, then we have our short-term programs, which would include both the winter break and also during the summer. And I'll talk about these in a little bit of detail and kind of show some examples. The winter break, again, most of those tend to be 2 or 3 weeks in length, in late December into mid-January. And the majority will be through our independent program providers. And sometimes we do have exchange partners that may offer a winter break program. And then also the summer. That's definitely one of our really big variety of options that we have available for students. And those come in a lot of different categories, we'll say, whether you want to choose something through the exchange partner universities, they tend to offer programs in the summer. Also our faculty-led travel seminars, and I'll talk about each of these in future slides, or again, that independent program providers, ones that we have a lot of students that will also do things in the summer. So first with the winter programs, again, those do tend to be between like a 1 to 3 weeks in length. Main thing to keep in mind with this is that the deadline is going to be September 1st. So you do want to get your WSU application in by that deadline, and then we'll help you with your next step of applying to the specific program, depending on which one it might be. There's a few pictures here of some students who've done the winter break programs in the past. We've had students who've gone to South Africa, as you can see there, which was a 3-week program, also to Austria, and that one was specifically related to music. Also 3 weeks, but there's a variety of different locations of where you can go, a variety of different types of classes that you can take. Most of the winter programs, I would say generally you're just taking one class, 3 credit hours. That is the most typical for those programs. But a lot of different options if you want to try to do something during your winter break. And then summer, a lot of options available to do summer study abroad programs. Couple examples are up here of students who did some through our exchange partner universities. So Dan Cook University is one that we have in South Korea. They actually offer multiple summer programs, 7 weeks, 4 weeks, or 3 weeks. We usually have WSU students who will do a variety of their summer programs each year, whether it be to study the Korean language or taking classes taught in English. They also offer some scholarships for their programs in addition to scholarships that we offer. So that one tends to be a very affordable program for a lot of students. And then we also have the one in Spain that's featured here on the slide, our Barcelona program, which is a great option for students of a lot of different majors. It's 3 weeks, but there's also an option to do a 6-week program through them if you'd rather be longer. If you do the 3-week program, then it's just one class. If you choose 6 weeks, then you'll take 2 classes. You do one in the first 3 weeks and one in the second 3 weeks. And with that program, again, they have a lot of different classes offered taught in English. The majority are actually classes taught in English in different areas from psychology to international relations, business topics, engineering, health-related topics, performing arts as well. So a lot of variety of different courses that you can do through that program. They do offer a couple courses also taught in Spanish for anyone who might be wanting to do Spanish. So those are a couple options of summer through exchange partners. And then again, we have a lot of options through the program providers, depending on what you're studying and where you might be wanting to go. A lot of options in Latin America, in Africa, in anywhere in Asia, Europe, so all over, lots of options, especially in the summer. Generally, the deadline for a lot of these programs, it's going to be February 1st, if it's through our exchange partners or any of the program providers. And then the faculty-led programs, so these are going to be programs where at least one WSU instructor, if not possibly 2, are going to the location where your program will be held, and you're going with a group of WSU students. Sometimes you are all traveling together on the same flight, and other times you might just be meeting there or have the option to potentially travel on the same flight as the instructor and or other students. For all of these programs, you will enroll in a course through WSU, and that can range from 1 credit hour up to 3 credit hours, or even more than 1 class and potentially be 6 credit hours. So you will pay your regular WSU tuition and fees for the faculty-led programs, and those can range from as short as about a week or 9 days or so for some of our travel seminars, up to 4 weeks or possibly longer, depending on what has been set up by the faculty, but the majority are usually kind of in a range of like 1 week to 4 weeks. And the examples up here that we have had some in the past will be our Spanish department, who's done programs in Puebla, Mexico, and that would be for specifically Spanish language and culture, global business and entrepreneurship. We've had programs there in France. And that's been an option open to students of any major, not just necessarily business. And then travel seminars. Those would be the ones that we generally try to do a lot of times 1 to 2 every summer or every year, depending on what term it might be under. And those are open a lot of times to students of any major. And it's just a short trip that you go with the group of students and the WSU instructor. You get credit for it, usually 1 to 3 credit hours. And depending on the actual travel seminar, there might be a focus, like for example, more focused on service learning, or it could be more focused on the culture and history. But it's very hands-on, generally, that you're visiting different places of interest and learning more about that country and culture and various aspects while you're there. A lot of the deadlines, particularly for our travel seminars, will usually be in November. Some may have later deadlines, like our other summer programs as late as like February 1st. So it's good to start planning early, depending on which summer program you might want to do, to know kind of what deadline, since some deadlines can be as early as November and others might be February 1st. It's good to kind of start planning relatively early in order to see, you know, which program might fit best with what you're wanting to do. And that's something that we can obviously help you with during the advising appointment and everything.
So generally, all programs that you will go on through study abroad will provide some sort of accommodations. So it looks very different for each program. For example, if you go on a short travel seminar in the summer, you might only be staying in hotels. If you're there for a full semester and you're studying at a different university, then that could be a student apartment or residence hall. It really just depends on the program. But every program will offer some sort of accommodation and try to help you coordinate that for your program. And when it comes to meals, there will always be an option, whether that is cooking in your dorm or apartment, or again, for the shorter programs, maybe you're eating in a lot of restaurants. It really just looks different for each program, and you will always know ahead of time what that will look like. And students will always need to plan, sometimes budget for those extra expenses for meals if it's not included in some sort of meal plan for a full semester. Just knowing that it might be your own responsibility to find meals throughout your program. And we never want students to think that the cost of studying abroad is a reason that they can't go. So don't let money be a reason why you can't study abroad. We always like to tell every student that. On the next slide, we talk a little bit about funding. So we always want students to be aware of the different funding options that are available for study abroad. So if you are to go on a full exchange program for a semester or a year, all your financial aid should apply for any exchange program, as well as departmental or college scholarships. That also goes for the Maui Consortium. Most of your financial aid should apply for that as well, because you are enrolling here at WSU. And for federal aid, classes must count towards your degree. And then for independent program providers, you do pay directly to them, but they do offer a lot of scholarships of their own. On the next slide, we have WSU scholarships. So the WSU scholarships that we offer can be within our office, so the Office of International Education, but we also always encourage students to check across campus at different departments. You never know what kind of funding is out there until you ask, and it never hurts to ask either. So we always encourage you to check with your own department. Some departments that we do know that usually offer scholarships is the Honors College. So we always recommend that students check with them, or if you're studying any sort of language, then you can always check with the language department. The business school sometimes offers different scholarships. So we always recommend that you check with your own department to see if they offer anything for study abroad. And then if you are going on a travel seminar, which are those shorter programs where you go with a faculty member and other WSU students, we do have specific travel seminar scholarships offered for those programs. Each summer, we do publish which of those travel seminars are eligible for our travel seminar scholarships. And the deadlines for those are typically a lot sooner. So you can see at the bottom our scholarship application deadlines. So for travel seminar scholarships, that's our first deadline typically for when it comes to summer programs. So that's November 10th. So we always want students to be planning ahead for their programs. But when it comes to full semester, fall, spring, you can see the deadlines there, February 15th for fall programs, September 15th for spring programs. Winter, if you're going to go on a winter program or January term program, then this September 15th is the deadline for that. And summer is typically March 1st, aside from those travel seminar scholarships. We always want students to be thinking ahead when it comes to scholarships. And on the next slide, we also cover outside scholarship resources. So there are scholarship resources outside of WSU as well. So these are not associated with WSU, but we always help guide students on which scholarships they might be eligible for. When you have a study abroad advising appointment with us, we can kind of point out different scholarship resources that you are specifically eligible for or may be able to apply for depending on where you're studying. So one of the really great ones that we recommend is the Gilman Scholarship. So if you're receiving a Pell Grant, this is a great scholarship because it goes up to $5,000. A lot of times, it could be $3,000, $4,000, but they do award up to $5,000. And you can see there are two deadlines throughout the year, October and March. The same thing goes for the Fund for Education Abroad. So that is for students with high financial need. They have a deadline in September, and it does go up to 5,000. So the award amounts are very similar between those two. But we always want students to think ahead and start applying typically a year in advance for scholarships. If you wait, for example, if you're going to study abroad in the summer and you wait to apply for the Gilman Scholarship during their March deadline, then you will not be awarded or receive your award notification in time to be able to use that funding, that scholarship award for your program. So we always want students to plan ahead so that they can be getting their scholarship applied for and get that award notification in time to use that scholarship for their study abroad program. There are also other outside resources that we mentioned a few on here. We also have more on our website, and a lot of them are location-based, depending on where you're studying abroad. If you're going to go to Asia or Germany or Japan specifically, there's a lot of different ones, and we list more resources on our website. We also will help students look over essays. So if you send us your essays, then we can help you review them and kind of give you our tips and feedback so that you have the best scholarship application as possible. So these are our priority application deadlines for study abroad. So we definitely want you to plan ahead. A lot of students think, oh, I'm going to study abroad next semester, so I can, start planning, the semester prior, but we really want students to think ahead a little bit more than that, just to kind of plan out what classes, meet with your academic advisor, meet with us, of course, think about scholarships. So really try and take into consideration when the deadline is for your program and start planning about a year in advance, if not even more. So you can see up here for semester and academic year, our deadlines are February 15th for fall and September 15th for spring. The Maui program for both fall and spring semester is February 15th. So you really need to be planning ahead for that. Sometimes we can be a little bit flexible with that deadline. It really just depends on the year and the university that you're interested in going to. But typically February 15th is that deadline for both fall and spring semester. For our short-term programs, so our summer programs, the deadline is February 1st. Some of the deadlines will be earlier. It just depends on the program, and it's always published on our web pages. You can see what the deadlines are. So always check there if you're confused or you're unsure. And then our summer faculty-led programs, the deadlines do vary. A lot of times they'll start having their deadlines in November, and then it kind of goes on from there. Again, it will be on our webpage and published for you to see, so that if you're not sure when the deadline is for a specific program, you can always check our website. And then winter programs is September 1st. So for our application process, step number 1 is attending our study abroad information session, which is this video. So you've already completed step number 1. And then moving on to step number 2, check study abroad requirements and deadlines, review the study abroad checklist, and view current travel advisories. You can view all of those links on our website under the How to Apply page. We have all of those linked on there so you can start looking through them. And then step number 3, schedule an appointment with study abroad advising. So once you are finished with this video, you will get a link. You'll see a link at the end of the video to be able to fill out our interest form. So once you fill out an interest form, it will submit to our office automatically, and we will reach out to you to schedule that study abroad advising appointment. Continuing the application process, step number 4, you will complete the study abroad application form available on our website. And there is an application fee for most programs. So once we've had an advising appointment with you and you've narrowed down, what your options are and which program you want to go on, that is when you would then complete your study abroad application, and you would get that fee, which would be added to your WSU account. And then step number 5, after you've applied to us and we've received your application, then we would give you more information moving forward on when to complete that next application to the specific study abroad program that you're going to be applying for. And then any other information that you might need is on our How to Apply webpage, but these are the general steps that you will follow. And we will kind of guide you through the process after you've completed your application and submitted it to our office. I am going to share our website. So on our website, we have a lot of different information for our program. So we want to kind of give you an idea how to look around on our webpage. So this is our home page, which is wichita.edu/study abroad. You can find different links here in the center. So one of the most important is our program options. So I'm just going to go there to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So when you visit our webpage, you have an idea of what you're looking at. So kind of what we already talked about in our presentation and had mentioned semester and year long, and then short-term and summer programs. So under our semester and year long, just as we discussed, are the WSU exchange programs and the Maui Consortium. So we will kind of talk about the exchange partners so that you can see what that looks like. We have all of our different exchange partners listed here by country. And then once you click on a specific country, it will drop down and show you the different universities that are under that country that we are partnered with. So I'm going to go to Dan Cook University. You can see under the university the different subject areas that are offered at that university. Once you click on a specific university that you're interested in, it will give you a lot more information about our exchange partner. So there are some quick facts that you can look at. You can look at the location and some information about that. We also have important information about academics. So there's an overview here to kind of give you an idea of what even is taught at the university, or if there's any specific classes you might have to take or anything like that. It will be here in the overview. And then we have the subject areas that are offered at the exchange partner, semester dates, which is always really important to check. Not all programs abroad are going to have the same semester dates as us, so it's always important to check the semester dates. And then our class list, which is also really important. So if you look at our class list, it will give you the classes that are offered at that university and how they transfer back to WSU. So this is a really helpful link for all of our exchange partners and some of our Maui Consortium programs we also offer class lists for. It just gives you an idea ahead of time of what classes would be offered or might be offered at the exchange partner and how that would transfer back to WSU. It's really helpful when meeting with an academic advisor to show them what classes that you're thinking of taking, and they can help you see how that will fit into your degree program. And then moving on, we also have some housing information. So you can look at what housing is usually offered for that exchange partner, some program costs. So this is a really important as well to review the estimated cost for each exchange partner university. We try to update it and get very accurate information from the exchange partner. And you can also compare costs to WSU by going here and seeing everything that's included in the cost for studying abroad at that exchange partner. And as I mentioned, all your financial aid, if you go on a program, one of our exchange partners for a semester, it would cover a lot of the costs that are listed here if you have any financial aid or scholarships that you're already receiving. And then we also have our additional study abroad scholarships in our office on this webpage as well. And then how to apply information, including deadlines. And we're going to talk about how to apply in a little bit. And then just some other information that you might want to find out about different exchange partner universities, if they have a summer program or a winter program. All of that will be on the exchange partner university webpage. So going back to our study abroad program options, that was our semester and year long, but we also have our short term and summer. So just to kind of give you an idea, our short term and summer webpage, it looks like this. So you can first see the summer programs here at the top. At the bottom, we have our January term or winter study abroad program. So you can see all of our short-term programs on here. We do have a tab just for low cost programs. So if you're wanting to find something that is a little bit more low cost and cost is a huge factor for you, this is a great place to start for summer programs. Low cost to us means under $4,000, excluding the cost of the flight. So there are quite a few options and some that are even much, much lower, such as the one in South Korea or this one in Barcelona, which are both programs that Anne had mentioned in our PowerPoint. So they're both really great options. We also have a tab for faculty-led programs that we offer here at WSU. travel seminars as well. So those are the shorter programs that are more about getting your hands-on and getting to know the culture, sometimes service learning, depending on the program. So we have different breakdowns to find different things that you might be interested in. Then we also break it down by different college. So for example, if you're in program for engineering or fine arts, then you can go and look under these different tabs for different programs. So under liberal arts and sciences, for example, then it subdivides it between the different areas of liberal arts and sciences. So then you can kind of see even better what might be best for you. And we try to list out the different areas that you might be studying. So if you're a history major and you want to find a history class, you can kind of see exactly where we've listed history and what programs might be an option for you. You can see multiple are listed here just to kind of give you an idea. Now, you're definitely not limited to what's on this web page at all. There might be other programs out there. We've just tried to pick a few to kind of highlight different areas so everyone knows that they have an option for study abroad. And then we also have on our website scholarship information. So if you're going to our section menu and then you go to scholarships, it will show you all of our resources for study abroad. So this first section here at the top is specifically for the Office of International Education or our study abroad scholarships. If you look at the how to apply section here, it will tell you exactly what you need to do to apply for our scholarships. We have many different funding sources that you can read about, but it's just one application for all of those funding sources, and then we will see which ones you're eligible for. And you just complete this one application, and then a one-page essay, and then 2 reference forms that have to be submitted to our office. And all of the details of both the essay and the reference forms are on our scholarship application form. So our scholarships typically range anywhere from 500 to 1,500, but it could vary outside of that as well. But just to kind of give you an idea, that's our general scholarships that you can apply for. And then I also mentioned in our presentation about travel seminar scholarships. So there's also information about that on here that you can read about. And then further down, scholarships through WSU departments you can check out. We just give 2 examples on here, but again, always check with your own department. And then outside scholarship resources, which is a really important one for students. You can look at different scholarships that we have listed here and see what you're eligible for and what you might want to apply for. So the Gilman Scholarship is one that I pointed out in the presentation. This is for students receiving a Pell Grant. So for each of these that are listed here, you'll need to go in and see what you're eligible for and what they require for each scholarship to make sure that you're completing everything that you need to do. And we would review essays for these. So if you submit your essay to us, we can review those. And that is a lot of study abroad scholarship resource information. And then lastly, on our website, we have under our section menu, we have the how to apply webpage. So this webpage will give you all of the information that you need for applying for study abroad. So as I already kind of mentioned in our PowerPoint, the steps 1 you already did, which is attend this information session, review important information, and then attend a study abroad advising appointment. So as I did mention a little bit, you will complete that interest form, which you'll get a link to at the end of this video. And once that's submitted to us, which it will automatically submit when you fill it out, then it will get sent to us and we will reach out to set up a study abroad advising appointment with you. So that is how you will apply to study abroad. So any questions you have about applying for study abroad will be on this webpage. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Raul, our study abroad student assistant, so that he can share about his experience.
Hello, everybody, once again. So thank you, Kayla. So I was very fortunate to have been able to study abroad a few times, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences. I did 3 summer programs. They were the Université d'Orléans in Orléans, France, and then I did the Global Entrepreneurship Experience in Pau, France, and I also did the Teach in Paraguay program, which is based out of Asunción, Paraguay. So the first program was the Global Entrepreneurship Program, and this program was in France. And I did not really have much experience with business. So if you're somebody that does not really have a business background, it's okay. You can still apply if you're interested. It was a really unique program where we got, in this particular year, we got placed with a wine company, a Basque wine company. And this wine company wanted to market their wine in the United States. So we learned a lot about marketing, about finance, about ads, publications, and all that, and kind of like how to reach a target audience. We got to go to the field where the grapes were and the wine production was going on. It was a very beautiful experience. You really kind of like learn to mature and kind of like go above and beyond when you study abroad because this was the first time I kind of like lived on my own. So you get to, in this program in particular, you were in a dorm and you got to kind of, if you want to cook, you made the food or you went out to eat. You could take the bus or you could take the train to get to class. Very different than here where we're used to driving. So it was very unique. I got to learn a lot about entrepreneurship and marketing and finance and a lot of business strategies that were just really intriguing. And I always recommend studying abroad because if you're someone that kind of wants to travel and you're just like, I don't know if I just feel kind of like insecure. Well, study abroad can be like your launch pad to kind of like go and travel. So when I went to France, I did get the opportunity to travel around. I went to a few other cities in France, and then I also went to Spain, England, and some other places. So it is a very unique experience. And for this program, you do not need to know French, even though it is in France. All classes are in English. So there is no language requirement. Then I just could not get enough of studying abroad. So then I said, okay, what other programs are available out there? And thanks to the study abroad office, I was able to learn about this program called the Teach in Paraguay program, where basically you get placed at a school, and you kind of like see how different teachers teach students. I speak both Spanish and English, so I was able to watch both Spanish and English classes. But if you only speak English, you could observe the English classes and you could see how they teach math, history, grammar, and you kind of go all over the place. My experience was you kind of start at like first grade, third grade, and then if you want to go observe middle school or high school or even university level classes, you do have the option. It was a very unique program because first I got placed with a host family. And this was my first time with a host family, and I had a great time. Me and my host family, we became like best friends. Like they are the ones that appear on the left hand pictures, the ones by the train, and the ones with the flag on the bottom left picture. And they really got me to kind of understand the culture of Paraguay, the food in Paraguay, how to dress in Paraguay according to the weather and everything. And I just am really grateful to have been with that host family and just have had a host family experience. The school was very unique. Um, I decided to end up teaching third grade. I just thought the third grade were the most fun. And it was just a very unique experience. By the end of the day, they all knew my name. They were just asking, "Oh, what are we gonna learn next time?" So it was just very unique, and you do not need to know Spanish to go do this program, as I said, because you could observe the English classes if you are only an English speaker, and then you would then go and teach after a few weeks of observing. Then you are put on to teach. So it is quite a good experience. And then I wanted to kind of solidify my French language skills, and I saw there was a program offered at Orléans. For those that don't know, Orléans is one of the sister cities of Wichita, so they do have a keeper of the plains, and a lot of them are really proud of Wichita and their history with Wichita. And for those that don't know, here in Wichita, we do have a statue of Joan of Arc. here to kind of commemorate that relationship. So when I got there, I saw some pictures of Wichita and the keeper, and I was like, okay, this is unique already. So I decided to stay over host family. I had the option of either dorm or host family. It depends on your preference. In a dorm, you have more privacy, but it usually costs more money. With a host family, it's usually cheaper, but of course, you don't have as much privacy, but they do provide breakfast and dinner. While if you're on your own, you kind of have to go and find your own food or make your own food. So it depends on your preference. I chose to be with a host family and I loved it. I love getting my croissant every morning with some coffee. It was just a really nice experience. Orleans is a city about the size of Wichita, and for the weekend, you're only an hour away by train from Paris. So I did get to go to Paris and practice my French skills both in the city and in the rural areas. As you can see, we went to a few castles and excursions. That picture on the bottom right-hand side is going to Chenonceau, a castle that's like about 30 minutes away from the city of Orleans. And something that's very interesting about this program is a lot of times the your classmates are not going to be people from the country that you're in. People in France speak French. Therefore, they don't really need to work on their French. So people in this program, I had friends from Russia, from China, from Lebanon, from all other parts of the US. So the people in my class, we were all kind of like in it together. We were all there to learn the culture, to kind of learn the ways of doing things in France. So it's a learning curve, but it's also really fun because you have other people with you. So you don't have to go and order a baguette by yourself. You have other people there that can support you. So if you want to solidify your French skills, I definitely recommend this program. And there's a lot of good scholarships by the French department here at Wichita State University. So we are kind of big on social media. So if you would like to follow us on social media, we have here some QR codes. We have here our Instagram and our Facebook, and we're really good, or at least try to be really good about having our deadlines for applications, for scholarships, and then also kind of like promoting programs. So if you follow us and then you see a program you might like, that could also help you kind of like remind you that it's not just one or two programs. We have a lot of programs out there for all types of people and majors. So if you're interested, there's our Instagram and Facebook, and then we also have, of course, our email, and we are now at the Chakra Success Student Center. So that's where we're located on campus. And now your next step is to complete the study abroad interest form. So you would complete this form, and as soon as the study abroad office receives the form, we will reach out to you to schedule a study abroad advising appointment. So I thank you so much for letting me talk and explain my experience, and go Sharks.